Hello. Good morning. Borida. Welcome back. Farmer Ben here once again with the British accent, which some of you may find outrageous and offensive. The little wavy man. Hello, little wavy man. Hello. Good morning, little wavy man. Now go and do some work. She's going up to my watchtower. What's he going to do up there? Surely there's something that these little wavy men could do to actually help me out. You're looking at my base. Why are you looking at my base? Just because I was just doing it. I'm just doing the morning, some of the things which I do most days. You can see I'm beginning to get... I'm hoarding battle items because there's a challenge event coming out very soon. No, I won't do that. Not for now. So it's when it gets towards a challenge event, it's worth getting as many battle items together as you can. That's not what I wanted to press on. Let's get rid of that. There we go. What else we got? Time stop. Go. Craft more time stops. Don't need too many of them for the challenge event because they are slow. And I'm going to want a load of tornadoes. It's worth sort of trying to keep crafting all the time. As you can see, I've run out of iron there, so there goes the iron. It's a beautiful day. You can hear the birds singing in the background. Lovely day. Anyway, there we go. So that is the various bits and pieces done. Now, the reason we remain here is for this raid tournament, which is a 5-star raid tournament with a buff booster. So I'm going to join the raid tournament, as I always do. Successfully joined. I'm going to edit my team. Now, this is going to be tricky. Anybody who has a buff gets stronger. Oh, is that right? There's no greens. Oh yeah, no greens in this one. I wondered if they were going to start doing that. So no greens in this raid tournament. No greens. Interesting. Yes. Very interesting. No greens. So no greens are allowed in this raid tournament. Now that gives you... one thing you should immediately think about is, can you put in a blue tank? Because a blue tank, they cannot colour stack against you. Reds will be weakest against the blue. I'm just thinking this through a little bit here. I'm thinking as I go along, as I hadn't realised that when I first glanced at this a minute ago. So originally I was going to put Demisha as my tank. Demisha is one of my few 5-star heroes that puts up any kind of buff. She puts up a defence against yellow. Most of the vanilla 5-stars, the ones you can get from training camps, don't put up buffs. So of the guys you can see here, none of them put up a buff. Except for Demisha, who puts up an anti-yellow one. And I don't think any of my 5-stars put up a buff. But my blues do. Sorry, my blues will be strongest because they can't colour stack green. Now, Thorn isn't great. He is reckoned generally to be one of the worst 5-stars because all he does is straightforward damage, and he doesn't do it particularly quickly or anything else. Ooh, now this is a tricky one. Where do I go? Do I risk going for lots of blue? Going for a few more blues, because you cannot colour stack against blue. With no green, you can only equal it. So I could risk doing a sort of blue thing down the middle. So yes, sorry, you've caught me at a very, as I say, sometimes you have to think about all the different avenues of the game. I'm tempted to go with Kirill as a tank, because Kirill does add a buff. Kirill's buff is that he increases shield and sword. So I could go for a team that looks a bit like that. It's a bit of a random team. Not as strong as some of the other teams you could field. I'm a bit inclined to go with Demisha there, and probably Leonidas here. Try and reduce the chances of them getting buffs ready, because Demisha will debuff, and Leonidas reduces the mana speed, so they're less likely to get a buff ready. A little bit, anyway, it's only a tiny bit. Kirill will buff everybody so that then my heroes will do more damage. They can't colour stack against blues. They can't take greens to make my blues weaker. They can only equal it, so they may as well face that. It will be interesting to see who's picked up on that one and who puts in a blue tank. Now I'm going to want Kirill to have the fast mana guy, because with fast mana it gives him a better chance of getting his defensive thing going off. Now some people don't like a defender as a tank. I'm not always a big fan of it myself, but with this one, because of the mana boost, the buff boosting, I think it's probably worth going for it, because Kirill is one of my best boosters and he'll boost absolutely everybody. He adds 2 buffs to everyone, and I have a feeling, I may be wrong here, but it doubles up on the buffs. Buff booster. Each buff adds an attack multiplier, so by adding 2 buffs to all my heroes, he does add quite a lot of attack boost, and I haven't got any, as I say, I haven't got any 5-star that can do that. So I think this is going to be my team. It's a bit of an odd thing to take a 4-star when obviously when I do have 5 stars, but I'm going to hope this pays off. So the main things I would advise is look at your heroes, see who can add a buff when they go off, when their special attack goes off. So of the vanilla ones, I know Vivica does, Kagan, Magni, Domitia, as I mentioned, they all add some kind of buff to themselves, if not to everybody else. Let me think. Greens. Oh, not Catalan. The other one that looks like Catalan does as well. What's her name? She adds a buff. Where are we? Nope, no, I don't want to change the troops. I'm just trying to remember her names. Let's have a look at my 5-stars. Right, yeah, Marjana and Aslar don't. Thorn doesn't. Oberkan does add a perfect riposte, so that counts as a buff. These are 3 and 4 stars, obviously not taking a 3-star. There is an argument perhaps to take, to try doing it with 3 stars and just see what opponents I get given, which is something some people have suggested. I don't know if that works, it's not one I've tried as yet. Maybe another time. Elena adds a perfect riposte, so that's a buff she adds there, so she wouldn't be a bad choice. Kagan does add quite a bit, but unfortunately, as you can see, I've not got him ready. And you can't take the greens, which is one I was about to say, the greens. This one, down here in the bottom left, it is Catalan. I'm getting Catalan and what's the other one confused? Canon. Oh yeah, sorry, there. Catalan would add a buff, but you can't take it, so that was a bit pointless me looking that up. A lot of go away messages. A lot of the heroes of the month add a buff. And a lot of the sort of event heroes add buffs, so they're very good choices really. When you are going into the raid tournament, think about debuffers as well. Like Domitia's a debuffer, but think about people like Melindor, Sonia, Sabina, people like that. It's worth getting a debuff in action so you can get rid of the buffs, because the buffs will be particularly dangerous on this tournament. Yeah, so there we go. So my sort of top tips at the moment would be consider a blue tank. You can go quite heavy on blue because they cannot colour stack against you. So that's what I've done here. It may pay off, it may not. Who knows? But we shall see. The trouble is, it's a shame you can never see what the attacks on your team are like. You never quite see how they get on. If anybody ever does attack me, can you film it? That'd be handy. There we go. And I've gone with Domitian as a buff booster and Leonidas to slow them down. And a debuffer for Domitian as well there. So whether that will pay off, I don't know. But as I say, be aware that there's no greens, which means that your reds are not going to be able to colour stack against anyone. So be prepared. You may not want too many red heroes. You obviously can't take green. So blue is going to be strongest against... Blue, yellow and purple are the best colours for... blue tanks, and I would recommend, if you've got one, put in a blue tank. Yes, so that is my recommendation. Also, though, think about buff ones that boost your buffs. I've got a feeling somebody like Izania, I think, puts up a buff boost for most people. I can't remember her special skills now, but yeah, whichever blues you've got, think about the buffs that they may add to your team if you put them as a tank. Anyway, well, good luck. I'd love to say I know how this is going to go. 5-star raid tournaments are quite high end. A lot of people don't have that many 5-stars, so if you've got them, give it a shot. Sort of push for a reasonable finish, because although you might look at it and think, well, I'm not going to do very well. There are an awful lot of players out there who don't really have many 5-stars, or have only got a few and they're not fully leveled yet. So don't worry too much. If you can manage a full team of 5-stars, you're in with a chance of a good finish. Anyway, there we go. So it was brief, it was emotional. I'm sorry I wittered and waffled there. I really could not think for the life of me what I was going to do. Anyway, so peace out. May death come swiftly to your enemies. This is Farmer Ben signing off for today. Bye!